All right, everyone, welcome to another episode of Conspiracy or Just Wow, dude, I'm all messed up. We had horrible tech issues. Conspiracy or Just a Coincidence? I'm Jack Allen. Uh, my guest that I invited on, I'm adding for humor. So, Scott, welcome and thanks for coming to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
All right, dude. And I told I'll put it. I think it's on Twitter, but Bob's Lessons might join us a little bit later. We all had tech issues today, and it was a brutal thing. So we were talking about the Rock earlier. I'm wearing my Rock.
You're
My Rock.
in.
I'm in, dude. It was $40 for this shirt.
God, dude.
I know, dude. I know, man. That dude. I can't believe how that was like stressing me. That I'm always punctual on my times of doing this show.
Well, not two people trying to do something technologically sound is.
I know, dude.
Who aren't tech savvy.
Exactly, dude. That's the issue. And then let me just hit record on for the podcast so I can record that. All right. We're good there. Great. So many little things. Okay. All right, there we go. All right. So first I wanted to start off today. There was so much stuff that went on. I'm trying to do these new shows with my friend Scott also. So like I know I do all these book reviews and stuff like that, and I need humor. I've already said that, but just for the podcast. Because that's what makes learning enjoyable. Otherwise, I'm just like speaking to myself and it's just not it's not entertaining. So we're gonna try, and Scott's the funniest guy I know. So first I didn't know what I picked, like a bunch of topics for us to talk about today. I don't know if do you have any ones that you wanted to talk about first?
I mean, so we had briefly talked about it, but the thing that was driving me nuts this week is so I heard it was through Rogan. I think I told you he's the creator of Meat Eater. Meat Eater is now this whole multimedia brand, but it started off as just a hunting show. So he's very outdoorsy, very, I would say rightly aligned. But him and Rogan don't usually get into the political stuff.
Yeah.
If anything, it's like conserving nature and gun laws. Like that's the extent of it. But regardless, they got into talking about Facebook and this big lawsuit with, I think it's an ex-employee. I didn't look into that at all. But
yeah,
the big thing that drove me, and it was my question I proposed to you, was like, what are we going to do as a society as these companies, Facebook's, Apple's, Walmart, like the big players in the game, as they continue to get bigger? If one of them were to capsize for whatever reason, lawsuit or whatever were to be the causing of the problem, if it were to shut down, how much is that actually going to affect our economy? And do we have people keeping tabs on these things to make sure Google doesn't get, uncontrollably big?
Well, it's already, yeah, dude.
So that's my other question. Is it is it already too big?
Well, dude, so first, Facebook, it was started in, I think 90. Well, it was started by DARPA. DARPA is the defense. It's like a letter or like a CIA type group that does weapons for the U.S. And they had this idea to track everybody better than, that back then computers are just starting. So they came up with this thing called LifeLog. And then they were like, crap, how do we get people to log their life? No one's going to do that. So then they just pushed that name, pushed that whole idea and put it into Facebook.
Well, isn't it crazy though, between the three big players? And I mean, you can throw, for us, being in our young 30s, I would say we're not heavily influenced by TikTok.
Yeah.
But we even admitted our significant others to some degree are. But the three big players being Facebook, which is, to my understanding, I don't use it very often, but it's more politically driven. There's Twitter, which is like the dumpster fire. It's just a trash can for people to get all the nonsense out.
Right.
And then Instagram is to make your life look good. So not only did they push it, but they made it people's lives. Now people are being paid to use the apps, or to, make content. And then us, the average Joes, consume it all day, every day.
All day, dude.
It's crazy. It really is
scary.
And I didn't know any of that stuff prior. So, but I get you're saying, did they have any? Are you saying they're involved with Zuckerberg at all?
Yeah. So, dude, look at this. Think of how many stories of people in their garage make multi-billion-dollar companies. What are
Yeah.
the odds that Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, all these guys, they drop out of like what they can't even they don't even graduate high school or something and create. And like, I don't know if you know, Bill Gates, his dad is not like a no, he was a huge guy. He has pictures with all these
Yeah,
famous
I
people.
remember hearing.
Yeah. And then Jeff Bezos' grandfather was in the CIA.
Okay, got
Yeah.
it.
And I know that. Tell everyone what's your what we should do to replace Amazon.
Oh, so there's so many apps in which I think we can improve on, and I forget, what did we say the one for Amazon was?
Jungle, or it's a
Oh,
shittier
yes.
Amazon.
Yes, exactly. The jungle, and everything comes a few days. They don't really give you an exact date on when it's going to come, and you might get it in good shape. It's just, but everything's cheaper.
Dude, I just don't know how you beat these, like, because that's what my other point was, how the too big to fail, or too big, not too big to fail. That's what they said for the banks. But like, even so, like Standard Oil, that was Rockefeller.
There you go. There's an earlier example.
Right. So they broke it up, but they didn't actually break, because he paid for all the politicians. So they broke it up in the way that like Exxon, Gulf, all of them are owned by him. He just owns 49.1%. So he doesn't own the majority of shares in those. So all those gas stations are still Rockefeller gas. Isn't that crazy?
Which is insane.
Yeah.
But that's like, but I feel like nowadays that's what Facebook is becoming, because I guarantee if you polled 10 random people with a Instagram account, they wouldn't be able to tell you that Facebook owns, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because a lot of people, I don't like Facebook, but then you're on Instagram, and like, so they're getting their hands into everything as well. Like, dude. So yeah, that was my question to you, was like, and you touched on it.
Yeah.
It was just getting to that freak out sense of like, holy shit, because we already saw what can happen if like a disease comes through. But like, what if this happened financially? Like,
that just speaking to it, so like Bitcoin, I know you don't have Bitcoin, right?
No, I'm not. No.
So crypto, and people are like very sensitive about crypto if you haven't seen it on the internet, but it hit like an all-time high today. And our fiat, like, there's this graph, it shows you like when the dollar was first printed in first started by the Fed in 1913, it was worth $1. So that's why you could buy a burger for 5 cents or whatever, all those things. And each time they print more money, it loses. Now today it's like 10 cents of that original dollar, even less now with inflation. Like that's, so that what I'm saying is like crypto and like the monetary system collapsing, it's got to be like the goal. Like nothing happens organically. So I am like convinced that like Bitcoin is going to be used in that like blockchain to tie your like your internet to your real self, your medical history, your bank, everything.
Yeah, it's going to become one big web.
Right. And they can just like social security numbers follow us everywhere, that blockchain thing is going to be associated to you.
Which is insane. And I mean, this is where like, I think the natural fear of people our age, where, normally in generations prior, they're having kids and stuff. And I'm not saying this is preventing me wholeheartedly, but like you start thinking about what it's going to look like in 60 years, or like, look how much things have changed in the 30 years that we've been alive.
Yeah, dude. And you bring up a great point. Like our parents, most were having children in a house. And obviously you and I had 10 years of struggle city where we got 10 years behind everybody else. But like, even at say we were right out the gate, we're doing well. There's no way that like you could save if you really truly started from square one, not like how, our parents are both middle class. They can financially have helped us through things. But dude, if you came from square one, how would you ever buy a house? And if you can't buy a house, you don't have enough money, you're worried about because you want to give your kids a good life. Yeah. Like it's so screwed up.
Well, I married someone who was on like as good of a trajectory financially as you can get.
Yeah.
Like went to a local college, like, took every aspect into account to save up an X amount of money.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it's not as much as you think, because, you're not making good money when you're 18 years old. You're working some shit job somewhere. And it's crazy. Like you said, it's like, how does anyone ever actually get to that point?
And that's why I think it's like so like, I know you're like not huge, but you hear like our boomer boss, he'll talk about like capitalism versus socialism. That's like everyone. They're like on these two sides of the spectrum.
Yeah.
And it's because they see like if you like a Christian, you want to help people, all those things, that's going to socialism, which will lead to communism. But clearly capitalism is working the way it's not working out, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, look at like how much things have gone up. Like you could survive on a one parent working a blue collar job. You could have 4 children, just like my dad's family. And today you could never survive on one job, on a blue collar job.
No, like there's this dude, he's a Christian and he's like very well respected in that community. And like Dave Ramsey is his name. And Dave Ramsey is a financial advisor and he like lives like the Christian way, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Well, his spiel and like what an older generation, like my former boss would preach to me was also like, try to live on one of your salaries, meaning you and your wife. Well, I hate to break it to you, unless you're living somewhere where the cost of living is extremely low, which is getting next to nowhere. Anywhere you look now, there's a city being built and it's going to be expensive living there. So for one of us to, and we both have, I would say, decent careers. We're not balling by any means, but we're also not struggling. But to live on one of our salaries would be next to impossible.
Yeah, dude.
And especially nowadays, dude, look at the shit like I buy just because that looks cool. I'm gonna, you know what I mean? Like look at that fucking Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
That's a prime example, dude.
Like it's the consumer, like it's crazy.
Consumer, dude.
Wonder if you closed your computer and your phone for like, say, a year, if how you're spending. You know,
the change.
Yeah, because
that's a great point.
I guarantee there's an argument out there that would say, like, the lack of phone time. You know, you might look for another distraction and spend more, or you're not being fed ads all day, and you don't spend any. So,
in honest, it's like that's why. So I always say this. Like I've just recently come to this theory about not being anti. Like I believe. The harder work, hard work should pay off. And if you shouldn't get paid if you're you don't work or all those things like that. But clearly the capitalism that we have today, there's so like you should, if as a society, as like a country, you would want your people to have more children to become a stronger country that's more formidable. Like no one you wouldn't want to lower the population and decrease the incentive to have these large families unless there was something like more sinister behind it or purposeful or just greed
And that's the thing. Like, I think if you were to, this would be an impossible toll to take, but if you were to be able, or a poll, I should say, if you were able to take a poll of like the level of patriotism scale 1 to 10 that someone feels, and their willingness to have kids, I guarantee they would go hand in hand, because that's the other thing. Like,
that's a good,
with all the divide and hate, I would say patriotism is at an all-time low. Like, like this place sucks. Like I live a great life and I know it. Like I don't need to be canceled over that bullshit. But what I am saying is like my pride for where I live has decreased wholeheartedly because of how ugly it's gotten on a political landscape. But and so why would I want to bring another person into this world? But if things are great, like when I don't know, I felt like the 90s was a pretty solid era, at least from my perspective, because I was growing up. But like I would want to bring a kid into that world.
Right.
So that's God knows where we're gonna be. Yeah.
So I wanted to also try and talk like a little bit of but this kind of like ties in. So like the CIA, my last episode was on how the CIA was created. It was created after World War II because they were spying to win the war, and like, the people at the top were making sure they wouldn't get in trouble. And back then though, so World War II ends, you have like the spies, like James Bond was created after a MI6, which is the British CIA. He was based off a real guy. Like he was in America. He would just kill people at will, and that's why license to kill. That's from him. He had the license to kill. He would just snuff him out. But then it ends, and they actually pair up with the Nazis that they hated so much because they were against the communists. So that's why the Cold War was communist was evil.
Is that Q-tip? Is that Operation Q-tip?
Oh, there's one. I forget what that one is, but I'm sure
that's when the Nazis get involved in
paperclip.
Paperclip.
There is a Operation Q-tip or something.
Oh shit!
But that's they bring them over, but that's because they weren't really our enemies. They just the bankers at the top love war, so they need to create like an evil. But anyway, my point was in the Cold War, the propaganda was constantly like communism is evil. We have to fight over this proxy war, overthrow this government because it's communism. And the one line, Fidel Castro was in Cuba. He was the dictator there, who we called a communist, who wasn't a communist. But they originally liked him in the papers, and they said he's not just an he's not a communist. He's also an anti-communist. And it made this connection in my brain, like that line. It's not enough to not be racist. You need to be anti-racist.
Yeah. Well, that's welcome to the woke movement.
Right. And it's just crazy though and now one of the health or the CDC, somebody said that racism is a public health crisis.
Yeah.
And it's just weird, these two connect. And so our CIA and FBI people, they're actively promoting this propaganda, which makes me wonder why. Does that make sense?
Of course. And I think, and I get very annoyed. This is where my hatred of the internet comes in, is what we were just saying. If you're not screaming at the loudest, then you're one of the bad guys. And and to be honest, I would love to talk to someone of a different race and get their opinion on, say, how do they feel when Susan's screaming her head off about oh, how could that? Do they like that, or would they just like to be treated normally? And that's what I feel. And to be honest, I think there would be so much more camaraderie, and it's going back to what we just talked about, people coming together rather than the divide.
So this is going to be a crazy thought. So what if I told you that the monarchy was the best form of government? What would your immediate reaction be?
Immediate reaction is, God, it sounds like going back to the Stone Ages.
Right. Yeah. And so when I first read this theory in these books, I was like, what? This doesn't make any sense. This doesn't make any sense. But with a monarchy, your people, you're in your country, you're nationalistic. Everything you're doing it's like your brotherhood.
Give a few examples of monarchy nations.
Well, there's Liechtenstein, which has I think 200 people in it. But
that one slipped my mind.
So. Yes, I know, but they have a great economy and everything. But anyway, because I was looking it up for that reason too. But World War I, the war that we never hear about or anything like that, that was started in my mind because it was us British, all first-place democracies, republics, and the countries we all thought had kings and queens.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't that, and that's why I'm sure you've never heard much about World War I couldn't even tell you what it was, because someone supposedly got assassinated. That's why it started. Besides that, you don't know. But it was really a war to knock out these monarchies. In my opinion. And go ahead.
So then I'm guessing it's deemed, because of that mumbled up word you just said of the country, I'm guessing they were successful, right, in their eradication process.
Right. Yeah. So the I don't know if they were called the Allies then, but we beat the hell out of so we got removed the Kaiser, which was Germany, and we removed all these places. And a lot of people are going to struggle with accepting that, but I know you're not in the conspiracy world, but every one of them talks about corruption and how all the politicians are corrupt, and they are.
But are people going to have an issue with it because of the examples given? Because, you're talking about overthrowing Germany around a time where soon after there was a guy trying to, you know what I mean?
Well, so that's why it happened. But they were overthrowing it because of the nationalism. They're not afraid of like communism. They're not afraid, like, because the bankers fund all those groups. They funded the Soviets. But when you have nationalism and when you have a monarchy, so say you have, this is the way that, so the monarchy has private ownership of the country, right?
Yeah.
So if you were king and you had, this huge family, all kings, you have all your resources in your country. Are you going to cut every single tree down, sell them all at once, and take that profit and put it in your pocket? No, you wouldn't. So as a king, you would want to make that wealth. You would say, all right, well, this part of the forest, let's hunt beavers, and this part of the forest we'll chop down for wood, but plant trees. You want to keep your growth continuing and your people continuing.
Yeah.
And that's why that scares people that are like the bankers, like the Rothschilds and all these groups, because they couldn't get in to these countries to just rape and pillage, get all the resources.
But, so today, what do you think it would look like? Like if that's the route well, so that's why, you know what I mean? That's why there's only fucking one of them.
Well, yeah, because they overthrew them all. But it would be crazy. And most people listening, they like won't be able to accept that or comprehend it. But it's like there's so much. It's all these people. They'll like get right up to the point, like libertarians and everyone on all sides, and they say all these people are corrupt. Well, what do you think would remove corruption from a voted system, from you voting in people? There would be nothing. You couldn't stop it because they get paid from lobbyists. The only way you could stop it is if you have a like moral guy at church that watches morality and a family that's looking out not for you, I mean kind of you, but looking out for the best of their wealth, which is their country.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to like sell you or anything.
No,
it's just like a recent
like I appreciate it, and like, but it also the thing, and so it brings up a good question. Say something like that. Say there was a giant group that was willing to try to overthrow any form of government, whether it's the U.S. government, whether in a different country, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Do you think we're further away from that happening or closer to that?
I think way further away.
So that's the thing. That's why I worry is like the more the money prints, the more like to me, some of this shit is so unfathomable. And I commend you guys, like the ones who are willing to do the footwork of actually learning it. Because to me, I would say I heard it described someone else like this, but I'm the kid who consumed everything, like any form of like TV show or internet ad or what, like I've seen it, and like so like my brain is imprinted with all of it. So like to me, I don't take the work to take it beyond that. So I just kind of like stay in my little bubble and like so, and I know that's kind of what they want, like the big government, but at the same time, like the stronger they get, they're only getting stronger.
Right.
Like I feel like the more hectic and chaotic things are, the stronger they get.
Dude, first, I get made fun of by Liv all the time because I click on those goddamn ads that'll say like 10 things that changed in the last 20 years. And I will click all through the pages for no reason. But you bring like the more chaotic, it's a commonly called it's called problem, reaction, solution. So they create the Hegelian dialectic. You create a problem, the reaction because they have like all of us algorithm to shit. Like they know what you're going to do before you're going to do it. And then you have the planned solution. So that's what they're
and they're making it so much easier because it's all on tech now. You know what I mean? Like everything's trackable. Like I thought about that today. Like if someone wanted to track my every move, they could they would know my whereabouts because I'm never either not in front of something taking my picture. I'm not using a card. Like, if I wanted to be found, and that's terrifying in itself. It keeps a lot of meth heads up at night. Like, there's no hiding.
It kept me up too when I was you're like, Jesus, is this the day they're kicking down my door?
Exactly, dude. And I'd be it's a shitty way to think, but how many people think about it?
There's this guy I follow on the internet, and he's like, we're all I'm just on the internet. I'm not going to go, because I know the feds, they have infiltrated every group. They create these groups, and he's a part of one of these like Boogaloo Boys or whatever they're called. And he had the feds come to his house today to ask him about like the rival group. And dude, that would terrify, and that's scary. Dude, that's like intimidation, right?
Yeah.
Like, how can you ever? It's like getting to that point where it's not like he's done anything, but they're at his house. That means they're watching everything he does on the internet. Like, that is a terrifying thing.
And the craziest thing too, in which I think we're getting closer to, is like when I was younger, I was at a really weird age to watch the movie The Truman Show.
Yes,
like, where it like really affected me because I was like, 15, chubby, and I was like, holy shit. So, but you think about that movie, and nowadays, like now we're getting really close to that point. Like I might not be on your TV screen when you're eating dinner, but if someone wanted to fucking know what I was, if the right person with the right information wanted to know what I was doing, they could find out.
Yeah, dude. Here, I'm gonna put up this video just to sit so you can. Let me just get it. Let's do it like this, yeah. But just so we don't even need to have it with sound. Let me see. Yeah. All right, but yeah. So for anyone like listening, this guy, they just show up at his house. And they're asking about this group called Patriot Front, who is all.
Is this a body cam looking at the guy, or is it a Fed dressed in a?
They don't even wear suits anymore, dude. They just wear little
Isn't
like t-shirts.
Shit?
Dude, they can't even dress up. I mean, come
on. These are the feds that I'm paying.
And dude, who becomes these people? That's what there can't be that many. Like, I think I knew one kid in college. And I remember he was trying to get in the FBI, and they called like all the people in our fraternity or whatever, and to say like, not me, but like his close friends, how they knew who his close friends were and roommates were, I don't know, but they called all these people
asked them like, oh, does he party? Yeah,
right, I've heard all those things.
So my question is like that a real thing? Like people apply to be, or is it like you graduate from, the police academy and then they might, or military? That was my other thing.
Dude, this is so perfect how this ties into what I was. So like a lot of people, they rise the ranks of the police or whatever. Ooh, you're like how I just said police.
Police acting like you know me.
After they got out the police. But like back in the day with the CIA and the FBIs are just starting, what they do is they pull kids from Ivy League schools. So all of the CIA at the top were these Ivy League, very well off kids. And the reason why they did that was because they all were in like this, either like the Skull and Bones, which is a secret society, or their belief is all pretty much the same. Like they want to make as much money. They have real no loyalty except to like their wealth class, and they'll do kind of but isn't that crazy? So back then it was all Ivy League kids that started in these groups.
I mean, it because my theory was like, because not knowing really much about it, because that's the other thing, dude. For two major, and I'm sorry, we can get to the clip, but
oh no, I have no more clip. You're good.
Okay, so for two major groups of the government, meaning the FBI and the CIA, I'm 30. I don't know jack shit about them. And like, I especially didn't know even long, you know what I mean? Like, that's not something they teach you about in school. And so that's like the weird, we talked about that. I don't know if it was on a show or privately, but like, it's the other weird thing. It's like, what? They're picking and choosing super weird stuff. And I know the whole public school, like they're going to teach whatever's new and hit. But like, even going back to when they teach some crazy shit, and they don't teach a lot of shit too. Like, how about how no one teaches you how to manage money? And then you come out and like, how do they think you're going to spend it? Speaking of money, okay. Unless you had something else.
No, go for it, dude.
I had something else that I stumbled across today, and I forget, some news source put out an article. I can't remember who it was. It wasn't CNN. It wasn't Fox. It was some other one. But they talked about how the country is now going to start browning out. So that's the other big issue I have is like,
we're not like electricity.
No, so browning out in the sense of like they expected when Obama apparently took office, right? They expected, and especially with COVID and all the influx of money into, stimulus checks and
Yeah.
that kind of shit, they were expecting a huge sum of money to be being put towards like energy reserve and, like greening the country out. So transitioning to a green movement.
Right.
Apparently that hasn't happened either. So it's like, in my opinion, it scares me too, because it's like wondering like, well, what are they just pumping money out and hoping people do the right thing with it? Like, you know what I'm saying? Is there any union among either nations or our own government that will prevent the world from polluting itself to death and we all just dying?
Well, so like, and a lot of conspiracy people, they hate and I don't know if I believe that it's man-made climate change, but what I can I think I can
and like, you can speak for either on behalf of the community or whatever, but like, is it that it's just not real, or is it it's coming about?
It's like, dude, plastics have been the worst invention in the world, right? Yes. So like so what they want to do, like the whole thing with like pollution and stuff, they want you to feel bad for you driving your car to work, or you having 3 kids and that's hurting the environment, or you eating the chicken you eat every night. Yeah. But really, any change we're causing is so minuscule. The real culprits are Exxon and all these, but they want you to think that you're the issue.
Got it.
Yeah. So
our footprint is far smaller.
Yes. Yeah. And it's their, like, they're the ones who wanted to not use glass because they wanted Rockefeller wanted to find a new way to use like the junk of the oil. So he hired all these chemists to play up with things. And that's how we got plastic, was that they didn't want to waste the oil and they didn't know what to do. Like, they're
Isn't that some shit?
Dude, yeah. And like, we have microplastics and that is like heartbreaking to me because, like, I try not to use any plastic, but
and that's something where, like, I mean, dude, when I was younger, I was like pouring and they wonder why. What freaks me out too, health wise, is like I was saying, younger, I would pour, like in college, I'd be going to class and I would have like an empty water bottle and I would pour hot coffee in it and take it to class. And by the time I get there, the bottle has now taken new form. Like, it's horrible. And then, of course, like, sure enough, I learn about it like the next week in school, how it's like horrible for your body to have a hot liquid in plastic and then consume it. So it's like, but they just like, it's like you said, dude, they invented something. They just threw it out there and assumed that us, like apes of people, are just going to be able to use it correctly. It's like, it's like giving us cigarettes. You know what I mean? It's like, well, what do you think we're going to do with them?
So that's the thing that gets me upset when people are like, not upset, but like when they're like, oh, like temperature's rising, even though the last 6 months were the coldest it's ever been in like the Arctic. But besides that, like it's that problem reaction solution. So they'll create this problem of the earth heating up. And
are they deflecting it? Like,
what do you mean?
Is the government and these huge companies making us focus on us? So we're like, oh, well, we have to change, but they're just doing, you know what I mean? It's like redirecting the odds.
So it's a few things. They want you to blame yourself. They want you to hate yourself because and then they also want to lower the population on Earth. And then they also, they want to knock out. So the goal of everything, dude, is every war behind it is to get resources and eliminate competition. Yeah. So what their goal is, Amazon's going to say, I'm going to donate $1 billion and let's sign the Green Deal Act and make all these companies not pollute. But no small company can afford to change. So now they're screwed. They're going to go out of business, and Amazon or whichever behemoth will eat them up.
And isn't it funny, like Amazon being like, I would be willing to bet on a national average, Amazon trucks are probably consuming more gas.
Dude.
And that's some shit, right?
Exactly, dude. Exactly. It's just like, speaking of resources, you showed me this article. I'll like talk about it before I screen share it. So Walmart is trying to buy the Colorado River. I'm going to pull up the article. So
okay, you were able to find, because
yeah,
when I talked to Jack earlier, I mentioned that, and this is for the listeners, that I heard this like very brief. Like I was scrolling through Instagram or Twitter, and like some podcast I listened to had it on, and sure enough, they had mentioned the fact that Walmart's trying to buy the Colorado River. And that's what led me to like wondering if these companies get too big, because these motherfuckers are about to have a river.
Dude. And so that's like, dude, this wouldn't happen in a monarchy. I'll tell you that much. It wouldn't happen there.
I'd want to bet that the article doesn't touch on it, but like, okay, so what is owning? Oh, there it is. It's because the podcast I listened to, for you guys who are wondering, it's the Dog Walk on Barstool. A couple guys do it, and their tinfoil episodes are usually on Tuesday, and they always talk about this shit. So I'm wondering, like, okay, so say you buy the river, right? You're buying the land in which the water is flowing. Yeah. Do you get the energy off of that? Like, so much stuff comes from the Colorado River.
Oh, I'm sure, dude. I'm sure there's...
And like, because I was in Arizona last week, in like the middle of fucking Arizona, and there's this river going through, and someone was like, yeah, this is an off branch of the Colorado. And I'm like, holy shit. So now, like, how does that play out?
Right. Well, dude, like, this is what they, like in Africa, or we've done this. So I just did in my last show. So if people listen to it, if not, go listen to it. But so for example, in 1953, Guatemala, right? It's a small country in South America. They have great climate for fruit. So in the late 18, capitalists, they called the United Fruit Company, came into all these places in South America, set up farms, pretty much slave labor, right? These people are paid nothing. They're chained together. They're whipped. I mean, it's brutal, right? But they can't leave. They have no other option. Well, so a guy comes into power there and he says, I'm going to, nationalize the fruit industry so we can improve all of your lives. You deserve it. They can still make a profit. And the CIA came in, they toppled his government. He ended up killing himself by burning himself with boiling hot water. And that's what they do. Like, I think Bill Gates is buying all the tons of farmland, the Walton family. Like, it doesn't surprise me that they're going after natural resources, because if they control it, then they can put a price on it. And
so that dude I was talking about on Rogan, Steve Ranella, talked about how his like goal in life after he retires is to preserve, I don't know if it was Yellowstone, it was one of the national, you know what I mean? Yeah. And to like really preserve it, because dude, it's just there's a price. Everybody's got a price. So if someone wanted that hunk of land, they'll get it.
Oh, yeah, I absolutely agree. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
so I just thought it was fascinating. Like, you think of things like the huge one we learned about growing up was the Louisiana Purchase. Like, yes, but it's crazy to think that something like that is not like, I guess it's potential, because that kind of fuck you money's being thrown around.
Yeah,
up rivers and shit.
But so what they learned though from definitely those things was that if there's no king, you can, you don't even need to buy the land anymore. You just need to buy these people that are voted into your land.
Yes,
and they'll sell your soul, dude. They will sell, and that's why it makes me like question, like, how can people be so greedy and like just psycho, right? Like, it almost goes beyond just simple greed.
I think, I'm not kidding, I really wonder if at some point your brain just malfunctions. Like because dude, you have told me this so often, like how when someone gets rich and powerful, they turn, something happens. So I'm wondering, psychologically, can the person's brain, if you're living a life in which you can't really even fathom, like you wake up every day and there's just money and you're more money than there was yesterday, like that's an unbelievable way to live. And I just wonder, like, because there's only been few, because you're the one who talks all the time about the Rockefellers, like these big families. Yeah, this kind of fuck you money has only happened so many times throughout history, but now it's happening more and more with like the Gates, Bezos. Like,
I mean, there's but so like another reason why it's happening more and more is because then my answer for this show, there was monarchies. So you
Okay.
could grow your power, but if you got too big, they're going to come and just knock you out. Or, you can't, they won't oversell their wealth because they want to store it for years to come.
Well,
But
then,
now,
then, okay, that makes more sense. It's like, okay, it's more of a checks and balances type.
Right. And now there is none and so the question is like, is this just a feature or is it a bug or a feature of like what we had today? Like it's not like Bill Gates keeps buying more farmland. We're selling farmland to the Chinese companies.
Yeah.
Like that's no, if you want, and not only that, immigration, like open flooding the country with more immigrants is all like things that are not in the best interest of a country. And they try to trick you and say,
yeah. And think of if you just wanted to say, you said, forget this. I'm forgetting about all this that these two just talked about. And I'm going to just go live on my own. I'm going to survive on my own land. Not many of us live on a piece of land that you could survive on anymore.
Yeah.
So with and look at the expenses or how much they are. So, it's interesting with all the prices going up and only the rich people being able to afford it. It'll be interesting where like the middle of America goes. So,
yeah, dude.
I don't know.
I found this like interesting. So like the middle America, it's totally, we're on the east in the Pennsylvania. But so all of our school textbooks are published by two companies pretty much. And then there's one company and their Twitter, it's like McGill or something like that. And another one, but they like are so woke in their books, obviously, because their Twitter accounts are woke, all those things. And those are the books that are created to kids to learn. And that's how they can control the flow of like our mentality so much because these powerful people are at the top controlling the books that the teachers teach.
Isn't that some shit?
Right?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's
insane, right?
Yeah. I wonder, I would love to know, like, from, say there's a school because I guarantee the same district will get the same books.
Right.
But for us, so we went to a school in the suburbs. But say the inner city kids, if they're still getting the same books we are, or at one point were, like, you gotta wonder, like, that's crazy. I did not know.
It's a lot of power.
Because with two people, if all the same schools are buying all the same books, those companies got to be worth billions.
Well, yeah, and not even they're probably like propped up by trust funds because the profit margins probably, but Twitter, dude, has never made a profit except in one quarter of its entire like 10 or 11 year existence.
Yeah.
It's literally never it's lost money every single quarter but one. So now how does a company in this awesome capitalistic society we have stay afloat if it loses money every year for the past 11 years? It's because it's propped up by something. There's another purpose that's being served.
Factual information, like numbers
about their money.
Yeah.
They haven't made any money, dude. Like
that was Twitter, you said.
Yeah, Twitter. Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, what is out of those big three that we just talked about, the least ad revenue spent has to be on Twitter.
Yeah.
Because you create your own ads. Like that's the thing. That's their tool, their website is a marketing dream because you create your own page. If you and I wanted to start Jack and Scott LLC and we wanted our own advertising, well, we have, I don't know how many people use Twitter, say,
I think 50? It's not a lot to be.
Okay. So say 50 million, whatever it is.
It's like an average. Yeah.
Okay. But you and I now have access to 50 million people with our own name on our own thing. So for me, it's.
Well, so that's what was so great about the internet, right? Like YouTube, dude, I don't know if you would go down like conspiracy YouTube, but you could get lost forever, dude.
Well,
like it'd be video after video of the same topic or same person. Well, they kick people off platforms that they deem hate speech, and then they change the algorithm. So like YouTube now, if you go watch this video on YouTube, it's going to send you to Fox after that. And that can't be beneficial for monetary because now you have people spending less time on your site because you don't want to watch Fox. You're watching about Bigfoot. You're not,
Yeah, and there's so much other like YouTube has been this was on that episode of Rogan I keep referring to as well, but he talks about how YouTube has been the most untouched of all of them. Like Instagram is extremely easy to get blocked, banned, all that kind of stuff because that's hypersensitive, whatever moms or there's a specific group of people that just reports. Twitter's a little looser, I would say, probably at least vocally you can be pretty crazy, but at the same time, dude, like I heard a fact that if a trans person is on Twitter and you refer to them as their old name, they will ban you for life.
Right.
Like, so YouTube has kind of remained off the book, but if they're changing the algorithm, they're about to crumble too.
Well, now they you wouldn't know. See, isn't that it's so funny? Like everyone in our community, like I can name you like 20 people that got kicked off for saying like misinformation on during the election, after the election stuff, and the huge sickness going around.
Yeah.
But it's just funny, like, dude, because and I like tell my dad that he's doesn't know that either. It's just funny how and I think the internet has been so good at it gets you information, but it also breaks you up into these groups that are easier to manipulate. Like you are on sports stuff, and I'm sure most of the sports people think a similar way because you read the same things. You know.
Well, now there's a new thing called like you would be lumped into conspiracy Twitter is going to go crazy over this. Like you would be lumped. You know what I mean?
Yes. I would be. Yeah.
I would be lumped into. I don't even know what dumb middle-aged white guy humor or like sports. Like everyone now has a label, and like you said, it's easier to section off everyone and get to them that way than
so that's what they'll do, dude. Like we always joke like in this community, like he's a Fed, but that's what they do. They'll create these groups. And then they'll like have a guy that they give some info so he sounds credible. Yeah. And he really, though, he's an informant. Like the guy for the Proud Boys. Do you know who the Proud Boys are?
Oh, God.
But that guy was a federal informant, the head of it, Enrique Tarrio.
Okay.
And then what they'll do is their leader, they're trying to get you to do something illegal or to like, that's what they do, dude. It's just disgusting because like they're doing this to their own people in their country under the guise of safety.
That's the thing that's so like, it's so bait and switch, and it's just like super strange. Like they don't want you to have a reaction to it. The thing I'm most shocked about, and maybe it's because I don't watch enough of the news, but how quietly Trump was and his whole party was when he got banned. I know there was an initial bump,
but outside the I guess you wouldn't, because you don't even follow like really any of the political.
No,
events,
not
right?
to like. I obviously like unless it's popping up on my Twitter feed or like on the news app. Like I don't, But is it is it an ongoing issue?
I mean, there's those diehard, like our boss, the diehard Trumpers.
Yeah.
But like besides that, like
but that's my point. You shut up the president of the United States, and all it was that initial like uproar about it, and now the diehards still talking about it. But like that's just crazy that these people have that power. Like this guy was just the
president.
Yeah, the president of the United States, commander in chief.
Dude, yeah, it's insane. And that's how it's here. Like everything's on the internet, dude. Everything's.
It goes back to what we said about the Truman Show. It's like, anything you want to know. Yeah. I mean, my credit card information, I have never gotten my wallet stolen, and more people have stole money from me than and it's all because it's trackable somewhere.
Yeah, dude. Well, and that's what the IRS is trying to like get into everyone's bank accounts even more. They'll be easily to do it. They're going to do it. If they want to do it, dude, they're going to do it. They're already probably doing it.
Well, that's the point one. They're doing it. Like,
and it's like, again, it's just so corrupt. Like we have no power in this at all. Like if I don't want to, if like I need to do, even with the shots or with whatever, like we just have no power. And
here's a prime example, right? You and I both, I'm sure, have come across someone, and everyone knows someone who had fortune and fortunate luck throughout the pandemic, whether it was receiving too much money from the government. I know someone close to my life who, like, that happened to. They filed for
Wow.
unemployment and they received way too much. And like, but
Damn.
then there's people like me and my wife who we were in that bracket of being able to receive
Yeah.
$1,200, whatever.
Yeah.
I think it was a total of $2,400.
Yeah.
Never got it. What phone number?
Damn.
And dude, that's something in which we've called, left.
You didn't get it?
I'm calling who? 1-800-IRS. Then it didn't go. Let's just say I didn't talk to anyone.
I'm sure, dude.
So of course, and then what do? I file for it on my taxes. What do I
Yeah.
get? A letter from the IRS saying,
No way.
sorry, you're not capable of, or you're not worthy of receiving the amount you applied for. And
Dude, that is
what? So
insane.
where do I go?
Yeah.
And that's my thing, dude. Like, there was people who were on the verge of poverty not receiving this money.
Yeah.
But someone who's not deserving is just getting it sent. Like,
dude.
Crazy.
But that's the goal, dude. They want you so dependent. Not saying you're dependent, like those.
It's your mother's teeth, dude.
Yeah.
Like that's,
well, that's what they, dude. Yeah.
I'm a privileged one to which we didn't need the money.
Right.
But it would have definitely helped.
Right. Dude.
And to not be able to get it, it's like I'm left feeling shitty about myself. Like I could have had this money, or they put you in an awful mindset.
And again, like they want you to be too tired to voice your opinion. You'll just
to pick up the phone and call.
Yeah, dude, but they want you so low, eating shit, living in a little house or a little room and you need them, so you'll never step out of line. And that's how because that's how they want the populace, dude. It's like
I'm interested to see how because then the wet dream for the government has to be a place like New York City. Everyone lives in a box. They run around like
nailed
rats.
it, dude. Yeah.
So I'll be interested to see, because we'll see if it sticks, first of all, because a lot of people left the city, big cities, LA and New York during the pandemic. So I'm interested to see, like, now that people are a little more free and they get a taste of that blue sky and the green grass, like, I'll be interested to see if more people are desired, and then it'll be harder to keep tabs on people. And but we'll also, then there'll be that influx that goes into New York, and we're going to be New Yorkers. And
I don't know, because it's hard to tell what history would say, because it's just seems like an unprecedented, anyone that's rational, you're not going to stay in a place where there's no police and high crime areas.
And there wasn't, maybe you might know better historically, but I don't ever remember a mass exodus of a city before.
I guess it kind of in the 50s, the term white flight. White flight, they were leaving the cities to the suburbs.
Okay.
And that was because of,
and I guess the counterpoint is the suburbs are just going to be the new cities.
Right. That's it. Yeah. So exactly. So now the suburbs, you're not far enough away. You need to get even further away where there's no, because the suburbs, like you said, there's all these rules, and they label it in ways to make you get up, to feel bad if you did this, but they're going to put Section 8 housing in good school districts. Yeah. And they do that, under the guise of, we want to help these people. But really what it's doing is it's going to cause you more issues, because Section 8, which is government housing, tends to bring a criminal element that comes with it.
Yeah. And that's, I swear there's blueprints, because these cities have been around long enough to where it's okay, if you put this here, this will happen. You know what I mean? And it's a cycle that can just keep running. So I'm sure they're used to what's going on. And to be honest, the funny part is I moved from Florida not long ago, and the world's going to become Florida. The way, in Florida, there's no, going in Southeast Florida, there's no unbusy area. It's all blocked off. It's all and that's just going to be the world at some point. If the idea is, oh, we can't live in the city. But like I said, I'm confident that it'll swing back. People will get back because, to be honest, city people and like, I would say more like country or people who enjoy the land more just don't mix. Like,
Yeah.
I know some of my friends are city people.
Yeah.
I can't fucking live that way, dude. My anxiety's bad enough, and I don't have a busy drive to work.
Dude, they're going to call it this thing called super cities. So that's the theory. So super cities they would be 5G. So you know what 5G is? It's like
the thing that caused coronavirus.
Oh, yes. Oh my God. Jesus, dude. Don't even say that on here. I'll get my YouTube channel taken down.
Sorry.
But 5G, like, so everything has internet. Your phone, all that stuff. And then you're going to be numbered with your blockchain, your phone. And so everything and it's going to be under the guise of easy living. Look how like advanced we are. And then there's going to be like in the sticks where they're like uncultured and
damn, it's like some Hunger Games shit.
Yeah, dude. I mean, that's like where I think it'll go because it's not going to get better probably, you know?
No, and that divide, the bad part is that divide will always be there because those people who get to move there are going to be looked at as like the holy, like, oh wow, it's the people who are going to live on Mars or whatever fucking planet we get to first. Like,
if you can get to them.
Yeah, and they can look back at our flat Earth, which is
I think, dude, I always say I'm gonna have to send you the flat Earth stuff because
please,
dude, because you're so religious. In the Bible it says, bro.
No, it does not.
It says in the firmament. Firmament's this thing,
dude.
Like this.
Yeah, okay. Then look, you're already okay. It says this one word, and that means no.
All right, dude. Hey, I'm gonna convince you, dude. I'm gonna convince you.
Yeah, I'll be waiting. So,
well, dude, Bob never showed, but I enjoyed talking with you.
Of course.
Tell everyone where they can find your Twitter.
Yeah, my Twitter my username is on here at Scott Korn, SCOTTKORN. I'm on there, and yeah, you can. I'm gonna try to put more and more stuff out. And
nice, dude. Like I said, you also do betting picks. So if you guys like betting, I don't.
Yeah.
Scott, people
you can ask. You just get in my DMs and I'll give you my best bet because.
Ooh, just so you know, first comment said they're gonna pretend to live on planets. So there you go, dude. It's not just me who thinks this.
Well,
all right, I'll tag you. Thanks for coming, dude. And
sounds good.
Guys, I'll see you tomorrow.
See y'all later.